Hello, my name is Shakhar Pelled, and this is another video in a series on evolution as the basis of faith. In this chapter, we will continue discussing the revelation of God to the humanity being, to the newly awakened or newly created leap in evolution, the cohesiveness of individual humans into a society, into a culture, which together forms a new level of coming together, of cohesion in evolution, based on culture and civilization rather than biology. So, as we said, there was an evolutionary leap between the stage of individual man, tribal man, no, not tribal man, because tribal man is already part of the leap. Let's say in primate evolution, there was a leap into civilization, into culture, where cohesiveness between humans, with the attachment of one human to another, became the bond of a new organism that we call the humanity being. Now, at last, in the process of evolution, immanence becomes transcendence as God is revealed to humanity through the Jewish people. This is something that we find when we examine civilization. We find that this event, this revelation, has shaped the history of mankind in many ways and is still shaping it. This revelation was a revelation not just to the Jewish people, but to all of humanity, as one finds in the 7 laws of Noah, which are part of the revelation. In fact, there are 2 basic paths of connecting to the divine through the Torah, the teaching given from Mount Sinai, the revelation of God through his teachings. One is intended for the Jewish people and is full of precepts, commandments, and many, many things that have to be done. And the other is directed at humanity in general, and it's called the 7 laws of Noah. There are just 7 precepts, and this is liberating for humanity as it removes the myriad behaviors, customs, and obligations that are usually characteristic of religion, and places all of religion on just 7 precepts that I will now read to you. They are quite simple. 1, prohibition on idolatry. All the false gods. There is just one God who is immanent and transcendent, and in fact is part of reality. He is within reality and outside reality, and all gods and idols are just ways of diminishing his image, diminishing the infinity of his essence that is always beyond human ken, beyond human ability to understand or comprehend. So there is a prohibition on idolatry. The ideal of a transcendent God, of a God that is perfection itself, is the main core of humanity's attitude to God, the humanity being's connection to God, and thus idolatry is the first thing that is forbidden, because if you do not connect to the perfect ideal, then you are acting in a way that is not increasing the cohesiveness of the humanity being. There are other reasons too that I will not go into at the moment. Anyway, the first precept is the prohibition of idolatry. 2, prohibition of blasphemy. Not to speak ill of God, not to curse God, Obviously, this kind of behavior, this kind of attitude goes against the very grain of the very essence of God as the perfect ideal of all that is good in man and in reality. And once you blaspheme, you go against God, you speak ill of God, you are in fact moving away from the ideal of perfection. 3, prohibition on murder. That should be obvious, but it is not. So it is embedded in the ideal, in the very perception of the perfection. There is this idea and this precept that one should not kill another person. Thou shalt not murder. There is a prohibition on theft. Thou shalt not steal, as property is an extension of the person, and when one steals, one in fact sins against the other person. There is prohibition on adultery. Faith between people, and especially between man and woman, is the very basis, the very foundation of cohesion. Once betrayal sets into the relationship between man and woman, then all of society can fall apart. This is very insidious, and it's part of one of the problems of modernity, that adultery has become rife, and this behavior splits and divides people. Now there's another prohibition of cruelty towards animals that is manifested in the prohibition not to eat flesh taken from an animal while it is still alive. This is a cruel custom to cut a steak off a cow while it is still living, to create a wound just for the greed or fulfilling the appetite to eat fresh meat. So this is prohibited. You have to kill the animal before you eat it. You can't torture it. You can't be cruel to it. And the 7th requirement is to set up laws, to set up a court of law, not to behave in a way that is wild and unordered. And this is the very essence, the very core of the laws of Noachid, the laws for all of humanity, because once you set up a court of law, all the other precepts fall in line, basically, as part of the structure of a society, an ordered society. So setting up law, not being society that is anarchic, is the 7th law of Noachid. All this taken together are the 7th law, the 7 laws of humanity in general, and it is applicable to all of the humanity beings that, as forming as nations, as national forms, as tribal forms, as social groups with a definite identity. And these social groups with a definite identity become the depositories of these laws that organize people together. And we see there is a trend that slowly brings cohesion between various aspects of humanity. They're coming together. In particular, the national idea, the idea of a state, and especially now the civil state, as embodied especially in the U.S., that encompasses the civilians, encompasses its citizens, regardless of their ethnic origin, their cultural dimensions, and so on. And this allows a general law to apply to many types of ethnic and cultural groups, uniting them all in a single humanity being that is ever growing and ever capable of being inclusive of other, of many human societies, many humanity beings that are forming. So this is the way that revelation appears in the world. It is a revelation of God that comes through the Jewish people, that God that appeared to the Jewish people, but it is God that appears, in fact, to all of the universe, to the cosmos. It is the immanent God now revealed, and it is revealed to all of mankind, and creating inside mankind a unit that is called the Jews, who have a special affinity to faith. And they are, in fact, the purveyors, the distributors, the messengers of faith to all of mankind. And that is the way that the revelation of God appears in the world. So we shall see how this is reflected in the way that the Jews behave, in the way that they form their faith as precepts and commandments that take place in reality and in fact shape reality. But it is important to remember that what is forming now are humanity beings, and that the appearance of transcendence, of the transcendent God, is only possible now that the humanity being is being created, is now evolving, because it is the many facing infinity. It is not the one. So the imaginings and the potential craziness of a single person is replaced by the potential stability and objectivity of an entire civilization, where many individuals are working with each other to establish a vision of reality. And this is particularly salient now in the appearance and the growth of science in previous generations, in the recent generations. Okay, we will we'll continue to discuss the idea of revelation and the essence of revelation as a revelation to the humanity being in future lectures.